The Russian Ministry of Defense says its forces repelled multiple attacks from the Ukrainian army in various regions, while Ukraine said it launched multiple strikes on Russian positions. On Sunday, the Russian Defense Ministry issued a battle report saying its troops has repelled the Ukrainian attack in directions of Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Krasny Liman, among others, struck various Ukrainian targets, including anti-artillery radars, ammunition depots, and command posts, and destroyed 3 U.S.-made speedboats carrying Ukrainian soldiers in the Black Sea. The Defense Ministry said the Russian forces also intercepted multiple Ukrainian drones. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces issued a war report on the same day, saying that in the past 24 hours, the Ukrainian army launched airstrikes on Russian personnel and equipment positions and also intercepted a number of Russian drones. The Biden administration is likely to send Ukraine long-range army tactical missile systems or attacks which boast a range of up to 300 kilometers to help Ukrainian forces strike targets. Media reports say out of concerns over escalations leading to direct conflict with Russia, the Biden administration is still weighing the provision of such weapons after the United Kingdom and France have sent comparable long-range missiles. Wearing face masks, the Ukrainian soldiers poked sticks into the undergrowth along a deserted country road, searching for the bodies of Russian soldiers they hope to exchange for their own comrades living and dead. They called the Road of Death after the number of Russian soldiers killed were there when Ukrainian forces retook the southeastern village of Blahodatne at the start of their counteroffensive in June. 3 months on, the front line had shifted south, and it was finally safe enough for the 3-man team of Ukrainian soldiers to start their operation in their liberated port of Donetsk region. The route was dotted with gutted vehicles and shattered buildings. At one point, they used a rope to tug a body to make sure it had not been booby-trapped by retreating Russian forces. Russia and Ukraine have conducted regular exchanges of prisoners of war, as well as the bodies of dead soldiers, since the Kremlin launched its full-scale invasion in February 2022. The group recovered 9 bodies in their day-long search on Friday. Each was loaded onto the back of a truck and taken for forensic examination. Ukrainian forces claim to have regained control from Russia of several gas and oil offshore drilling platforms close to Crimea. Ukraine's military intelligence, GUR, said today on the Telegram messaging app that Kyiv's forces had retaken the drilling platforms known as the Boyka Towers in a unique operation. It also published a video of an operation. GUR said there was a clash between Ukrainian special forces on boats and a Russian fighter jet, which was damaged and forced to retreat. GUR also captured other valuable trophies, such as helicopter munitions and a radar system that can track the movement of ships in the Black Sea, it said. The United Nations rights chief has blamed Russia's exit from the Black Sea grain deal, as well as its attacks on agricultural facilities, for higher food prices that have been particularly damaging in the Horn of Africa. Russia quit the UN-brokered grain deal aimed at easing a global food crisis in July. Ukraine has accused Russia of intentionally striking grain terminals and infrastructure in the Black Sea port of Odessa and elsewhere. In some cases, Russia's state media have claimed the facilities were housing mercenaries and military hardware without providing evidence. The UN's nuclear watchdog IAEA is in such serious financial difficulty ties because of unpaid member fees that the organization's work may grind to a halt in a month. So says Director General Rafael Grossi in Vienna today. Grossi was speaking after a Board of Governors meeting and told reporters he had reminded them that verbal support for the agency needed to be followed by deeds, adding, "It's time to walk the walk." According to Grossi, the IAEA was last facing a similar situation in 1995.
The reality is that we are facing a very serious situation. We may be grinding to a halt in a month if we don't get the money that is owed to the agencies. So I was telling the distinguished governors, each one of your statements is saying how much you support the agency. Well, it's time to walk the walk, maybe for some countries, important countries. So hopefully there will be a solution. The last time the IAEA found itself in a similar situation was in 1995. No, the biggest debtor is not in South America. So, but yes, in South America there are few countries that are in arrears. Actually, 44% of my membership, sadly, is in arrears. But of course, there's a very relatively small group of countries that are the largest contributors, and this is where the problem lies, actually.
The UK's HMS Trent has made its second ever visit to Nigeria, berthing at the Apapa port today. Commander Tim Lanford welcomed aboard the British Deputy High Commissioner Johnny Baxter, as well as members of the Nigerian Navy, to inspect and rub minds over activities that would take place on the ship over the next 2 days. The HMS Trent is a Batch 2 River-class offshore patrol vessel named after the River Trent. It is the third of the new breed of River-class ships, fully operational and most of the time deployed to the Mediterranean to support NATO on its international security mission. Its main mission in Nigeria will be working with the Nigerian Navy to counter piracy, anti-smuggling, provide fishery protection, border patrol, counter-terrorism operations, humanitarian aid, search and rescue, generals patrols, and defense diplomacy.
Looking towards how we can identify potentially future solutions for countering insecurity within the Gulf of Guinea and the region. Looking at activities such as counter-piracy, counter-narcotics activity, and other illicit and illegal activity that takes place on the high seas, such as the increasing trend of things like illegal fishing and unauthorized fishing activity in individual nations' territorial waters and coastlines. But a lot of the discussion will definitely centre around counter-piracy activity. Is one of the things that I think that all nations have got a responsibility to address, and it requires all nations to work closely together to find a working solution to offset the balance of an increasing level of piracy activity on the high seas.
Nigeria is a massive country for Africa. It has the second largest economy, it has the largest population, and for all of us, for Africa and for the UK, it is critical that Nigeria is stable, is safe, and is prosperous, and that's what we want to achieve. And within that, it is fantastic to see that trade between Nigeria and the UK is currently valued at £7.6 billion, and that has been increasing dramatically. And so the scope of the relationships that the UK has with Nigeria goes from things like this, goes from practical working together to activities that ensure that both our economies prosper.
Azerbaijan says Armenian forces had fired on its troops overnight and that Azerbaijan army units took retaliatory measures in an incident denied by Armenia. In the capitals of both Armenia and Azerbaijan, residents say they feared a new war between the two countries. In Armenia's capital, Yerevan, a local resident accused Azerbaijan of wanting to start another war, saying, "I hope this does not happen, but if it does, all of us, all friends and brothers are ready to go to war. Last time we buried our friends, now it's our turn." Much of Karabakh, recognized internationally as part of Azerbaijan, has been controlled since the 1990s by its population of around 120,000 ethnic Armenians after a war fought as the Soviet Union dissolved. But Azerbaijan recaptured swaths of territory in and around the enclave in another brief war in 2020, and has since put increasing pressure on the separatists. For the past 9 months, Baku has imposed an effective blockade on the region by closing the Lashin corridor, linking it to Armenia, which Baku says was being used by the separatists to bring in weapons.
I'm afraid the risk of escalation is mounting. What we observe both within the zone of temporary control of the Russian peacekeeping contingent and along the conditional border between Azerbaijan and Armenia say that the risk of escalation is really mounting. Along the conditional border, Armenia has reinforced the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th Corps of its army, and Azerbaijan is preparing to take some measures to be able to protect its territorial integrity. And within the zone of the Russian peacekeeping contingent, illegal Armenian detachments have been recorded as digging trenches and engaged in some fortification measures. And also what we observe within the upper crust of the separatist regime, there have been some changes, and the radicals have usurped power. It seems that the dialogue between Baku and representatives of the Karabakh Armenians is very unlikely now, and Azerbaijan should take legitimate measures. I think the risk of escalation is mounting. Azerbaijan, within its own territorial integrity, is perfectly entitled to take all the legitimate measures, and along the conditional border, if there is any provocation, response is going to be quite tough and robust.
Thailand's Prime Minister Sita Thavisin has announced a cash handout worth 560 billion baht. That's equivalent to $15.7 billion in a bid to revive the Thai economy while unveiling a set of cabinet policies to the parliament. The Prime Minister said, apart from distributing 10,000 baht, equivalent to $282 to every citizen through a digital wallet, Sreta's government would also defer debt payments, reduce energy prices, and make constitutional amendments. However, Member of Parliament Sirikantya Tansako from the opposition Move Forward party raised doubts regarding the source of the funds. Reviving Thailand's economy will be one of the biggest tasks for political newcomer Sreta, who became prime minister last month following prolonged uncertainty after a May election.
ไม่มีโอกาสท่านใช้เวลาในการบริหารเวลาเองตามที่ผมได้แจ้งให้ทราบแล้วนะครับขอขอบคุณทุกท่านครับต่อไปนี้จะ
And the doyen of the accounting in Nigeria, PA Akintola Williams, has died at the age of 104. Family sources say the first indigenous chartered accountant in the country died in his Lagos home. The graduate of accounting from the University of London founded the first indigenous chartered accounting firm in Africa, Akintola Williams & Co., in Lagos in 1952. He played a leading role in establishing the Association of Accountants in Nigeria in 1960 with the goal of training accountants and was the first president of the association. P.A. Williams also played an invaluable role in the establishment of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. He was honored with the Order of the Federal Republic by the Nigerian government in 1982. And that's it for The World Today. I'm Susan Ilian. See you tomorrow.